Hello, this is Brian Foster on Kardec Radio, presenting the program Spiritism and the Spirit World Around Us. Hello, welcome tonight on this night of October 15th, 2017. We are talking about the different level of spirits. It should be a very interesting program for those who are interested in the spirit world and talking to spirits and how we interact with spirits. And one of the things people don't understand are a spirit is not the same. A spirit is a spirit is a spirit. No, spirits are all different levels, just as humans, because basically spirits have been incarnates, us humans on Earth, and when they pass over to the other side, they are who they are. They are who they were. They can be very intelligent spirits, very ignorant spirits, very nice spirits, very mean spirits, playful spirits, destructive spirits, all sorts of spirits. And that's why it's important with anyone who's interested in how they go through their daily life to understand that there's a multitude of different types of spirits, far different than the types of spirits of types of incarnates here on Earth. Again, this is Brian Foster. I want to introduce myself, that you are on with my live stream. I stream live every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 5 Mountain, 4 Pacific, and all time zones in between outside around the world. So I encourage all of you to regularly schedule and watch our streaming broadcast here. Write your comments in, ask questions, and decide for yourself what do you want to understand about Spiritism and spirits. So let's start our talk tonight. Let me just write this. What are the different levels of spirits? This is what we're talking about. And please ask your questions. And if you want to go to my blog to find out more information, there's a lot of information on nwspiritism.com. Again, that is on nwspiritism.com. Now, I want to tell you where I'm getting most of my information. This is the book you would like to read. Now, you can get this book on PDF, Allan Kardec, The Spirits Book. He also has a great book, The Book of Mediums. He has a book, Heaven and Hell, Genesis, the Gospel According to Spiritism. You can find everything I'm talking about. Well, not everything. Some things in other parts of his book, but this is the main head book you want to go, is The Spirits Book. You can go on. There's ways to get this book. You can go on the EDICI website. Now, if you go to my blog, nwspiritism.com, up on the top right is a picture of Allan Kardec. Click on him. It'll take you right to the bookstore. You can also find his books on Amazon. I think an EDICI bookstore, it's only $9, and this is almost a 600-page book. The other great thing is you look him up, put Allan Kardec, and then space PDF. You can find all of his books on PDF. They are absolutely free. That's how I started reading about Allan Kardec. Now, let's get to our subject at hand, and what an exciting subject it is. What are spirits? So, our spirits created, because we are all spirits. We are just right now, we are in the incarnation phase. We are in the phase we are locked in a human body. A spirit, when we're locked in human body, is composed of 3 things. A spirit, with the spirit brain and the energy and the matter that it's made of. A paraspirit connects the spirit to our physical body and the physical body. Remember, we're probably much faster and smarter as a spirit, but our poor physical brain can only absorb so much information, only moves at certain speeds. That's why when you see people who are handicapped, in spirit life, they are just perfectly fine, but they are handicapped for a reason, for something they had done in a past life or some other reason to help them ascend further on in their life. So, how are spirits created? Let's talk about that. Well, question 81 in the spirit books asks, are spirits formed spontaneously, or do they proceed from one another? And what the answer was God created them as he creates other creatures by his will. But we must repeat again that their origin is a mystery. So we don't know, according to spirit books, we don't know exactly how we are started. And as you become a higher spirit, you have the ability to remember more and more of your past lives. Right now, is for the vast majority of us, let's say if I pass away, it would take me a while, and only when they thought I could handle it, I could start remembering my past lives. And then it would only go so far. So as you go as a higher and higher spirit, you'll get the ability to remember more and more of your past history. So the main thing to remember is we are immortal, meaning that we shall watch the sun of our solar system turn into a red dwarf and eventually degrade into a lifeless body with nothing but frozen rocks rotating around it. Think about this for a moment. We worry what will happen tomorrow or the next week, anxiety such as, can we buy that new car? Or will we be able to make the house payment? How do any of these concerns stack against the fact that no matter what happens, you can't die? Don't worry about dying, because you're not. You're just casting off this physical body, and you might be tired of this physical body. Remember, in the spirit realm, you look how you think you should look. And if you die when you're very old, you will revert to how you look as you think you should look. Now, some people want to look as they were in their 40s or 30s or 20s. That's how you will appear. So, question 88, another important question in the Spirit's book. Have souls a determinate, circumscribed, and unvarying form? The answer is no, not for your eyes, but for us they have a form, though only one to be vaguely imagined by you as a flame, a gleam, or an ethereal spark. So we are energy. When we are spirits, we are energy with some matter thrown in it. We can move at the speed of thought or take a leisurely walk. It all depends on our thoughts. In the spirit world, thought is action. Let me repeat again. Thought is action. This is one of the most important lessons that Spiritism supplies us. Here in our physical form, we learn that if we just keep our mouth shut, everything will be okay. Not true in the other world. Therefore, on Earth, in this chaotic location, we need to bear down and learn how to control our thoughts. You can't just do good works and appear to be like your fellow humans. You must feel love and fraternity from the bottom of your heart. When you live in the spirit realm, your thoughts are an open book. So where do spirits live? Well, that's in question 87 in the Spirits book. Again, a wonderful book. I really recommend everyone to get this book. This is like the headwaters of all Spiritism, created in the 1850s, channeled by a multiple of mediums. Allan Kardec was not what you would think is a medium. He was an inspirational medium, but what he did, he wrote a set of questions for mediums throughout Europe. And unless he got similar answers to the same sort of questions from different mediums, he did not write this down in the book. So this is all coded from many spirits, all led by the Spirit of Truth, as promised to us by as a consoler, right, from Jesus in the New Testament. So, question 87. Do spirits occupy a determinate and circumscribed region in space? And spirits are everywhere. The answer is spirits are everywhere. The infinitudes of space are peopled with them in infinite numbers, unperceived by you. They are incessantly beside you, observing and acting upon you. For spirits are one of the powers of nature, and you are the instruments employed by God for the accomplishment of his providential designs. But all spirits do not go everywhere. There are regions of which entrance is forbidden to those who are less advanced. Again, that is part of the different levels of spirits. Around the earth, there's the dark abyss, which is below the surface of the earth, where spirits who have done really probably very bad deeds. There's the lower zone, or umbral in Portuguese, which go from the surface of the earth up to the first level of heaven. So if you're a spirit in the lower zone, you can always go lower. If you are in a spirit in heaven, you can go into whatever level of heaven you are. There are many levels of heaven, but you cannot go higher than the level you're in, but you can always go lower. So these people, that's why they say that they have a parameter. They have a fence around them, and it's not a solid fence. It's as you go higher, you cannot stand the atmosphere, the purity of light, the brightness of light that you'll see in the higher spirits. So, unbeknownst to us, and believe me, this was a surprise to me. I was the first one not to believe in ghosts, phantom spirits, or anything until things happened to me that forced me to believe, oh my heavens, there is a spirit world. So, unbeknownst to most of us, we swim in a sea of spirits, good, bad, and indifferent spirits. This is what I want to talk to you about tonight. What are the different levels of spirits? Because you shouldn't just get out your Ouija board and start going, because you don't know what level you're talking to. And spirits love to fool us, right? So one of the things that the Catholic Church has said is you should not communicate with spirits. Now, Spiritism is brought here because what they've said is different religions, not just the Catholic religion, other religions have not communicated correctly what spirits have told them. And before that, and this is not a complete absolute rule, is that the spirit world tried to talk to the shamans and the priests and the reverends, and communicate with them to help the people as part of an organized religion. But they found out that this communication was not brought over correctly, and that some communications were stopped because the organized religions wanted to control people. They wanted people to serve them and for them not to serve the people. Henceforth, in the 1850s, Spiritism was brought to us to open up spirits, the communication of spirits, to all the common people. Now, with that comes responsibility. So the Catholic Church is correct in saying it is a bit dangerous. Now, they think, first of all, they'll say all spirits are demons. Well, in the Bible, there are many instances of people talking to angels and demons, angels, right? So not all spirits are demons. A lot of spirits are not for your good. Now, the other thing I want to tell you, no matter what levels of spirits I'm talking about, all will improve over time. There's no such thing as the eternal demons, the devil that's in there for eternity. No, God is just. God wants every spirit, even us, to improve. And that's why we have multiple lives. But that's for another program. So spirits exist right with us, but they're on a different dimension. So scientists are correct. There are planes and dimensions surrounding us that we can't perceive. To the spirit world, we are spirits locked in a case of dense matter, and our suit also protects us and severely restrains our senses. So, now that you're aware that we live in the midst of spirits, there are many different types of spirits. Up front, I want to let you know that when we die, we don't become intelligent, caring angels of mercy. I know, so sad. We become spirits who retain our memories, our personalities. Hello, someone just joined us. Our personalities, everything. In other words, people who were mean and petty in life, unfortunately, are the same in death. They're not just transformed in this beatific vision. Unfortunately, I wish I could be, right? So I'm still me. Hopefully, hopefully as I get in the spirit world, I'll have more hair and I'll appear younger, right? So those are the good things to look forward to. So this is why we're here on earth, is God's not going to let uncaring, immature spirits loose on the universe. They're going to be locked here. And we're locked here on this planet of atonement. What's the planet of atonement? A place where we pay for our past wrongs. Now, Spiritism doesn't like to use the word sins because there's many things considered sin by organized religions that are not. And really, what you need to think to yourself is a wrong to you. And a wrong to you is when your conscience tells you, why did I take advantage of that person? Why did I yell at my uncle, Bob or whatever? Why did I take that money? I should have left it there. Those are things that you will know that are wrong. So given the varieties of humans on the planet, it should be no surprise to learn about the different levels of spirits which reside amongst us. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the lowest level first. Let's talk about third order, called imperfect spirits. So again, this is in the Spirits book. I want to show you. Please buy this book. This is a great book. Or get it in PDF. So third order spirits are the least advanced spirits around the sphere of the earth. They exist close to the surface, a little above and below the crust. Many walk around us in everyday life, observing and participating. Third order spirits are those of us who have left this life in either one or more of these conditions. And I've created a broad categories. I didn't want to repeat the whole book to you. So if you really want to know, the best way is read the book yourself. But I created kind of broad categories, I think, to give people a better explanation. So one is a lack of spirituality. There are many good people who don't believe in an afterlife. And hence, when they awaken and find themselves still on earth, they are confused And the spirits are helped by second order spirits. These third order spirits are helped by second order spirits to realize where they are. And the vast majority ascend fairly rapidly. As soon as they wake up and say, oh, I am alive. And there's many good stories, and I've talked in other programs about people who die and don't realize they're dead. A lot of people have no, they say, why? It's like that, like those movies you see where people die and they talk to other people and go, why aren't you answering me? Because they can't see you. And it is true. Now, what I would say, and the other thing I'd like to say, is that not believing in afterlife, not believing in God, not believing in Jesus, not believing in Buddha, whatever religion, not eating the right things, not wearing the right clothes, has nothing to do with rising up into heaven. It's all about your inner goodness, your inner love, honesty, fraternity, and charity. God does not care that you are committed to a certain dogma. He cares, he or she cares, or it cares. It's higher than any sex. The spirituality cares that you are a wonderful person who loves everyone that you can and treats everyone as much with respect that you can. It doesn't mean you're a pushover, but you focus your energy. You try and cleanse your thoughts. Now, why do I say that? Cleanse your thoughts? Because as we go up higher and higher in the spirit's level, this is the background for all the chaos, everything in the world. As we ascend in the spirit hierarchy, you have more and more power. And what is action in the spirit world? Thought. It's like you're a kid. When you think, oh, if I think this will happen. Of course, then you get older and you disabuse yourself from that. No, it's true in the spirit world. What you think is what you can create great things. Now, you have to learn about the spirit world. You have to, and I've talked about that in education. There's education, there's colleges in the spirit world for those higher spirits. But now we're still talking about third order spirits. Now, what's another type of third order spirits? Well, rebellious spirits. That's kind of like me, right? I think I've been that way. I'm sure I've been that way. These are some spirits who don't want to recognize the existence of a supreme being. And hence they remain where their bodies decompose on earth until they determine the beauty of life is in serving. Strong-willed and usually intelligent, when they are ready, they have the capacity to rise quickly in the spirit hierarchy. And I'm sure I have been that way. We're thinking, oh, who's that? Because I've been that way in this life. You're not going to tell me anything. I don't want to hear from you. And of course, as our Christ says, you have to be humble to enter the kingdom of heaven. I hope I'm starting to learn that, but I know that it's a tough one for me. So materialists. So a lot of people who've lived life dedicated to amassing wealth. And everything else took a lower priority. And have we all seen that? I have seen, people, high executives in various organizations that are paid a lot of money and their whole life is work. I have seen people that just, they work 20 hours a day. Now, yes, they are making a lot of money, but is that why we're here on earth? Is just to make money? Are we here to educate ourselves and mold our character for the better? That's one thing I will stress over and over again, and many religions and philosophical doctrines will tell you the same thing. Material goods aren't the answer. Now, I'm not going to deny they can be good, they can be nice, you can live in a decent house, you can drive a decent car, and it will make life easier for you. But that shouldn't be the end all and be all of one's existence. So what happens to these people who are just completely tied to the material possessions, right? Their yacht, their house. I mean, it could even be, a special piece of furniture, which they just love, right? But you have to let go of these things when you are in the spirit world. All these material elements are transitory. So another type, a selfish spirit. They never thought of others. Their needs always came first. Like the materialist, life was about what could be done on earth. Now, isn't it interesting to read about, this whole cryogenics where people freeze themselves because they really hope that they freeze themselves and then at some future date they can be reanimated and they'll come back to life because they think that their whole being lies in this physical brain. Well, unfortunately, that's not true. It doesn't. That's just a small part. It's not even a very good functioning part of our brain, not compared to the spirit brain. You have to look at life as being life here on earth in our physical bodies is more of a trial. And it's like your parents sent you away to summer camp or school. You're in school right now. When you get back home, you have a much better time. Don't be afraid of transitioning. Death is nothing more than transition from your physical body to a much better spirit body. Now, but you also want to go to a nice place. That's why you want to understand why you're on earth and what you have to improve on. And it's not that difficult. Well, it depends, but it's not difficult to start improving. Don't take advantage of people, understand people, love people, act honorably to each other. Don't gossip about people. Those are small steps. And those are actually big steps, because then you're actually starting to fashion your thoughts. Now, another one who's a third order spirit, a criminal. And that's a combination of materialism and selfishness, right? So with like a violent streak and a complete lack of respect for others. And they will be in the right place when they pass on. They will be in the lower zone or even the dark abyss, which is, you could call it hell, but a better word is like a purgatory. No spirit is ever down in purgatory forever. God loves us all. And what that means is that even if you are in a type of purgatory, you will eventually decide, like, oh, I don't like being with these people. These people are horrible. And then the higher spirits will look at you and say, oh, this person's learning, right? It's really, when you are down there, it's the opposite of the golden rule, right? Is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And what happens when you're in a purgatory is others are doing unto you as you have done unto others. And that's how God defeats evil. He doesn't go in there and Jesus comes with a machine gun and kills evil. No, because since we're immortal, God allows people to see evil and say, this is not where I want to be, and rise themselves out with their thinking, with saying, I don't want to treat people as people are treating me. And then this is how they'll rise out. Now, and that's a wonderful thing, right? And I'm sure I've been there. I'm sure most of us have. I'm sure a few of us probably have never had to do that because they've been basically good. I know I don't count as one of those. The other one who are in the lower zone, a third order spirit, is a suicide. Now, this is something that is so sad. And suicides are trapped in the lower zone because they are not allowed to finish their life until their predetermined life was planned to be ended. So hence, they'll have to stay in the lower zone until that date. So as an example, if I was meant to live till I was age 60 and I killed myself at age 50, I would have to exist 10 years in the lower zone. Not a pleasant place at all. Camino Branco there's a great book called Memoirs of a Suicide by Yvonne Pierre. And you can find that again on the EDICI bookstore. I recommend it. It's just a fantastic book. And she's just a wonderful writer. Again, you go to my blog, nwspiritism.com, and on that picture of Allan Kardec, you click on it, you'll go to the bookstore. You can find books, a couple books by Yvonne Pierre. Unfortunately, many of her books are not yet translated in English. I wish they would do more. So those people are trapped onto earth until their normal time. That's why you don't want to suicide. No matter how bad someone thinks their problems are, they're not as bad as being in the lower zone. And when Camino Branco committed suicide, and he was taken after his allotted time was up, taken to a hospital to help suicides, understand what they did wrong, why they shouldn't do it again, and why they were given the trials they were given, they were told one thing over and over again. Whatever problem you thought was insurmountable, was horrible, always had an end. It could have been next week, next year, next month. Your trials are not meant for you to be defeated. They're meant for you to learn. God doesn't punish us. He tries to have us learn. So when they say, I've had people say, well, why should I have to go to the lower zone? God forgives everything. Well, of course God forgives everything, but it doesn't mean that you forgive yourself. And it doesn't mean that God doesn't want you to learn. Just like your child, let's say he was 4 and writes on the walls, right? What do? Oh, go ahead, I forgive you. Write on the walls. No. You put them in a corner, say, don't write on the walls. And they cry and scream, right? It's like the worst thing you ever did to them. But And they suffer in those few moments. And you think, they'll get over it, they're a little kid. Well, the same view of us, right? We suffer, but we learn. So think about that. So that is a description of the third order spirits in the Allan Kardec's book, the Spirits book. And for your, if you want, it starts at question 101, and he kind of tells about the general characteristics. And this is what he says. He says, predominant influence of matter over spirit, propensity to evil, ignorance, pride, selfishness, and all the evil passions which result from these. They have the intuition of the existence of God, but they have no comprehension of him. Not all of them are thoroughly bad. And that's, again, Spiritism tells us there's no such thing as pure good and pure evil or pure bad. We're all combinations of each. Even the spirits, higher angels, maybe when you get up to, a very, very high spirit, Jesus Christ, people like Socrates and Buddha, who are very high spirits, probably very little, if any, kind of bad into them. But for most of us, we're all combinations, right? None of us are perfect. None of us are all good or all bad. And again, these third order spirits, a lot of them have done wrong and they're selfish because why? Because they're immature spirits. A lot of them would come over from primitive planets. What's a primitive planet? A primitive planet is one where a new spirit is just starting out, and they really haven't learned even to follow their conscience. Because that's why we're on Earth, right? We got to learn to start listening to those little voices in our head. So, and they do these things, right? You'll see these people in the news that will say, he robbed somebody, he just shot him. That's probably a primitive spirit. One day, maybe thousands of years from now, that person will be a great person. That's why, yes, you can lock those people up. You can, punish them, right, in our own earthly society. Well, and you should, right? They need to be taught not to do that. But it doesn't mean you don't love them, but you love them because they are a spirit and they will improve. And that's why, and that is the essence of saying, you can be a good spiritist, a good Christian, a good Buddhist, a good, Zoroaster, a Baha'i, and love everybody. It doesn't mean that you don't have parameters and you don't punish those who hurt other people, right? It doesn't mean you're a pushover. So these people are not all bad. They are, they are wonderful. And then again, for people who are trying to communicate with spirits, you can tell the character of third order spirits. And as Allan Kardec writes, their character is revealed by their language. Every spirit in his communications, if they're a third order spirit, they'll betray an intention. It could be evil intention, and consequently, every evil thought suggested to our mind comes from a spirit of that order. That's why we're here on Earth, right? So if you're in a medium's meeting, you hear these things like, "Oh, that person's jealous of you," or that person should die, or whatever. You know that's a lower spirit, and they're giving you directions they want you to do, but you have to filter it out. And even as we go through life and we walk around, and we have these thoughts come to us like, "Oh, I want to crush that person," or whatever. That's not a good intention. So you need to learn to filter that out and say, "No, I'm not going to listen to that." And these sort of spirits, they see happiness enjoyed by good spirits, and this sight causes them perpetual torment, where they experience all the agonies produced by envy and jealousy. And they preserve the remembrance and perception of the sufferings of corporeal life, and this impression is almost more painful than the reality. They suffer, in fact, from the ills they themselves have endured and from those they have caused to be endured by others. And these sufferings, unfortunately, endure for a very long time. They believe themselves to be destined to suffer forever. But God, for their punishment, wills that they should believe this, but it's not true. So, those are third order spirits. So again, I just want to make sure one thing is, so when a person pays a medium, let's say, or for advice, or a group of untrained people hold a seance, these are the type of spirits which are attracted. The level of the medium or the group calling for spirits determine the level of spirits who come. So hence, morally and spiritually advanced mediums will attract higher order spirits, Well, at the other end of the spectrum, the local fortune teller or the Ouija board users will communicate with lower spirits. And the information you receive from third order spirits should not be fully trusted. What I would recommend, if someone is interested in learning how to communicate with spirits or interested in fulfilling their mediumistic abilities, is one, get the Mediums book by Allan Kardec, the Book of Mediums, I should say. And then make, find a Spiritist center next to you. And this is what Spiritist centers do. They will have groups that will hold seance. I've been in Spiritist centers, and they will have a meeting. And they'll have 4 or 5, 6 or 7 mediums around a table. And they will hold that meeting the same night at the same time every week. Let's say Thursdays at 8 p.m. Why? Why will they hold it the same night at the same time? Because the good spirits will know they're holding the meeting at this time. They will come to that meeting and they will protect the mediums of that meeting, and they will not let just any random spirit come into that meeting. They will actually bring in spirits who they think should be at that meeting. That's why you should hold it regularly. And in fact, as a medium, you don't want to just start, right? If you're a new medium and you want to start, first I recommend you find a Spiritist group and read the Book of Mediums, the Book of Mediumship. But if you're by yourself, meditate the same time, right? 1 night a week, 2 nights a week, but make it a regular hassle. Just first meditate and say, please help me talk to spirits, right? And help me talk to good spirit. Please, high spirits, help me. Then as you get into that, you will get signs and signals that your time has come to start talking to them. But so stay on a, just don't go to someone else's house, because what will happen is what's in spiritualist literature. If you're in that same place, the higher spirits will actually protect that area with kind of an ionized, a field that will not allow bad spirits in. So please follow that advice, protect yourself. So that is one of the things. That's what Spiritism is here to tell us, is the spirit world wants us to communicate, and that's the future of the earth when we become a planet of regeneration, is they want us talking to the higher spirits for us to get daily communion, advice, and guidance. We will all be at that state, those of us who choose to ascend and rise with the planet of regeneration. That's where we'll be. We'll have, I don't know, daily, weekly, or whatever, minutely communication with the spirit world, so we understand what we should be doing and our path in life. So let's go for the second order spirits. So the second order spirits, and there's again, is a general summary of covered. Is covered by second order spirits in question 107 of the Spirits book. So predominance. So here's the general characteristics: predominance of spirit over matter, desire of excellence. Their qualities and their power for good are proportionate to the degree at which they have arrived. Some of them possess scientific knowledge. Others have acquired wisdom and charity. The more advanced among them combine knowledge with moral excellence. Not being yet completely dematerialized, they preserve the traces of their corporeal existence, more or less strongly marked according to their rank, traces which are seen either in their mode of expressing themselves, in their habits, or even in some cases in the characteristic eccentricities and hobbies still retained by them. But for these weaknesses and imperfections, they will be able to pass into the category of spirits of the first order. They have acquired the comprehension of the idea of God and of infinity, and already share the felicity of the higher spheres. They find their happiness both in the accomplishment of good and in prevention of evil. The affection by which they are united affords them ineffable delight, troubled neither by envy, remorse, nor any other of the evil passions, which make the torment of spirits of lower degree, but they still have to undergo the discipline of trial until they've completed the work of their purification. As spirits, they infuse the good and noble thoughts in the minds of men, turn them from the path of evil, protect those whose course of life renders them worthy of their aid, and neutralize by their suggestions the influence of lower spirits on the minds of those who do not willingly lead to the evil counsels of the lower spirits. The human beings in whom they are incarnated are upright and benevolent. They are actuated neither by pride, selfishness, nor ambition. They feel neither hatred, rancor, envy, nor jealousy, and do good for its own sake. So, I don't know if you're like me. I felt pretty good until I read that last paragraph. And when he said is they're actuated neither by pride, selfishness, nor ambition. And they feel neither hatred, rancor, envy, nor jealousy. So, but I felt all those. And I've been actuated by pride and ambition and selfishness. I'm trying not to be, but it still creeps in. I still have like this false pride, and I sometimes I feel a bit rancor, and so I don't think I'm there yet. I'm hoping I'm approaching that, but I felt pretty good to the last paragraph. So I hope most of you are vastly superior to me. So it just shows you where we have to be, right? We have to get out that pride and selfishness and the ambition. Now, I don't know if I agree completely. In fact, there's a great part by Emanuel Swedenborg talking about selfishness and ambition. He says, look, you can be somewhat selfish and ambitious if you're selfish in the fact that you want to do good. Now, if you want to do good just so other people admire you, well, that's not so good. But if you want to be good and have some pleasure in your doing good, which is that's okay. That's natural. But you don't be ambitious just to attain power and forth over other people. So I think that last paragraph is a little harsh, but that could just be me. You interpret it as you wish. I'm trying to interpret it more that so I could fit into it somehow, which is probably my own selfishness and pride trying to get myself into that second order of spirits. So I'm not sure. All I know is I will try and do better, and I try and control my thoughts. And that's the important thing, right? So when we're on earth, just not like your mother said, right? If you can't say anything nice, don't say it. You have to go beyond that. And if you don't think bad, like, stop gossiping about people. When you see someone you don't like, don't think to yourself, oh, that miserable, you know what? This thing, oh, God bless you, whatever. Get in that habit and things will start working for you. It's hard, but the more you do it, the easier it is. So I eventually guess a large percentage of people who are interested in Spiritism are in those genotypes who are unselfish, fundamentally good-natured, unlike me in earlier years, probably much superior to me. So good spirits, while in the spirit realm, reside in heaven. And as with spirits, there are many levels of heaven. And even the lower levels of heaven are wonderful places. And all stages of heaven are full of colors, buildings, and kindred spirits that would bring warmth to our heart. And we on earth would live in a very different world without the guidance given to us by second order spirits, under the directions of first order spirits. They are our guardian angels. They are there to whisper warnings in our ear when we start on the wrong path. Nor do they help us, but they assist lower order spirits as well. All the spirits who haven't found their way to ascend to heaven and who are struck close to the surface are watched over and helped by these valiant second order souls. And the spirit books divides this order of second spirits into subclasses. So this is what they say. This is in section 108, which you can look up in the spirit book. They call them fifth class benevolent spirits. Their dominant quality is kindness. They take pleasure in rendering services to men and in protecting them, but their knowledge is somewhat narrow. They have progressed in morality rather than intelligence. The fourth class, learned spirits. They are specially distinguished by the extent of their knowledge. They are less interested in moral questions than in scientific investigation, for which they have a greater aptitude. But their scientific studies are always prosecuted with a view to practical utility, and they are entirely free from the base passions common to spirits of the lower degrees of advancement. Third class, wise spirits. The most elevated moral qualities form their distinctive characteristics. Without having arrived at the possession of unlimited knowledge, they have reached a development of intellectual capacity that enables them to judge correctly of men and of things. And secondly, second-class high spirits. They unite in a very high degree scientific knowledge, wisdom, and goodness. Their language, inspired by their purest benevolence, is always noble and elevated, often sublime. Their superiority renders them more apt than any others to impart to us just and true ideas in relation to the incorporeal world, within the limits of knowledge permitted to mankind. They willingly enter into communication with those who seek for truth in simplicity and sincerity, and who are sufficiently freed from the bonds of materiality to be capable of understanding it. but they turn from those whose inquiries are prompted only by curiosity, who are drawn away from the path of rectitude by the attractions of materiality. So, this whole section, right, these questions, illustrate the amount of work that awaits us when we ascend to heaven. When you relieve yourself of your cumbersome physical body and you wake up in the celestial city, your work has just begun. As in life on earth, where continual education is required, so is it in heaven. While earth is more conducive to altering your basic character, again, I need to say this, on earth, we're not meant to rise up and be intellectual giants. Earth is really a place, now this doesn't help to be that way, but earth is really a place to start taking out those blemishes of your character, because on earth is when we've got all these third order spirits telling us all these stupid things. It's like being in junior high, right? When you're in junior high or middle school, most of your friends were telling you the most stupid ideas, and you had to learn to say, and you probably learned the hard way like I did, is most of these ideas are just completely off the wall crazy. That's what we have to learn here. We have to learn in our adult life is to filter out these stupid ideas. But then when we get to heaven, we have to keep learning. And that's where intellectually and more spiritually we grow. But again, on earth is really we have to get rid of these bad habits of being mean to people, being selfish, etc. So when we communicate with second order spirits, either via near-death experiences, which is a voice or a medium or an alternate method after death experience, spirits in the second order realize that life on earth is not meant to accumulate wealth, but to accumulate spirituality. Hence, when we perform a wrongful act, they are the ones whispering in our ear, telling us, please follow your conscience. Whereas the lower spirits, the third order spirits, will be supplying reasons to ignore our violations of divine laws. So in summary, we really depend on second order spirits to direct our plan of life on earth more than we realize. They ensure our progress from one trial to another and alert us when our direction is off course. So if you want to learn more about how spirits watch over us and how we're interested in our daily trials, read my book, The Case for Reincarnation, Your Path to Perfection. If you go to nwspiritism.com and you go on the right-hand side and you scroll down, you'll see all my books. And one of those are The Case for Reincarnation. It tells you all about how you plan your reincarnation, how things are planned, even illnesses are planned at certain ages for certain reasons, how you decide your hair color, how you look. In fact, one of the reincarnations talked about this one woman who said, oh, don't make me too beautiful, because then my life will be full of temptations. And I don't want that. And too much jealousy. Very wise person, was she not? So, read that book, Case for Reincarnation. Also, I have another book that tells all about the different levels of the spirit world I was talking about, is the Explore Your Destiny. Now, let's talk about the first order of spirits, one that can only, aspire to. So again, all of these are in the Spirits book by Allan Kardec. And this is what he tells us here, and this is the broad summary. We may place in the first or highest rank those who have reached the degree of relative perfection, which constitute what may be called pure spirits. We may place in the second rank those who have reached the middle of the ascensional ladder, those who have achieved a degree of purification in which aspiration after perfection has become the ruling desire. That's when you are really committed to, I'm going to really improve myself. We may place in the third or lowest rank, this is all within the first level, all those imperfect spirits are still on the lower rungs of the ladder. They are characterized by ignorance, the love of evil, and all the low passions that retard their progress upward. So there are no set classes, but here's the first order. Keep in mind that even within orders, each spirit has their particular talents and attributes. To us, way down in the unlimited number of levels, all first level spirits must look alike, right? We don't have the capability to gauge variations in their perfection. So here's what we were told about the highest class of spirits. I was asked a question, do you know William Crookes? No, I have not heard of him. I'll have to look him up afterwards. Of course, all information I'm getting is from the Spirits book by Allan Kardec, and you can also look at it in the Book of Mediums. But I'm sure a lot of these other people, So again, it's when people always tell me these other names. Some of them I know, some of them I don't. But I think what we must realize is the message from the spirit realm through many different mediums and many different visionaries will tell us approximately the same thing. That doesn't mean one is right and one is wrong. There's variations of these messages, and they're really telling us a lot. And in fact, if you look at near-death experiences, and people have these, they see their aunts and uncles and their mothers and fathers, and they know life goes on. And they also, a lot of them realize they reincarnate, they have multiple lives, and they talk about spirits. So I've not heard of William Crookes, but I'm sure if it's around the same thing I'm saying, it's again another message from the spirit world, all telling us, trying to reach out to us, message to us that we should learn this. Why should we learn this? It's for our own good. It's for us to start understanding the spirit world. Why should we understand the spirit world? Because this gives us impetus to learn and to improve to why we're here, right? Why are we here? We're here to learn and improve. That's what people don't understand. Most people think we're just here to buy the latest tennis shoe, right? To watch TV all day, to consume, and to live and pay taxes and die. No, that's not the case. We are here to improve ourselves. And so a lot of these other people that have written a lot of great books all are telling us approximately, there's variations, but approximately the same message. So listen to these same messages. So on question 113, let me get back to the first order of spirits. First and only class. So this is what Allan Kardec says. They have passed up through every degree of the scale of progress and have freed themselves from all the impurities of materiality, having attained the sum of perfection which created beings are susceptible. Oh, someone, Vinica said, search on Google. I will search on Google because I love, as I read the Spirits book and I read other things by Allan Kardec and Chico Xavier, I see a name, I always search it out because you just go down these paths and they're just wonderful to explore. Anyway, let me go back here. So higher order, first only class. They are no longer have to undergo either trials or expiations. That's what we heard. We're going. Most of us here are going through trials of expiation. What's an expiation? That's when you're paying for your past wrongs. That's why when something, what you think is bad, like, oh, this horrible thing happened to me, it's actually good. I know that's hard to take, right? Is these problems that are thrown in your way are for you to learn what you need to learn to modify your character. In fact, I wrote a book on this. The problem is the solution. The spirit world has our life planned out, and we go through these things that, where these things happen to you for a reason. Must have been in the past life. If you had a horrible divorce, well, maybe, and that person was horrible to you, it's most probably, I hate to say this, is that in a past life, you did that to a different person. And now you're learning like, oh my God, I'd never. Oh. So what you should learn from that is forgive that person that did that to you and say, thank you. You've taught me that. I never want to do that to another person. I never want to be that unfair. I never want to be that unreasonable. I never want to be that mean. Take that to heart and learn that. Say, I never want to do that. Don't take it like, I want revenge. I hate that person, right? Just let it go. Know that has been put as a lesson for you. Yes, for now. Yes, he says, that's why I'm so grateful for Spiritism. It puts everything in perspective, doesn't it? Is it, these things, these people that are doing this to you, you have to, and it's hard. You can actually kind of laugh about it. Is my wife and I laugh about it, like, oh, well, thank you, right? Thank you for robbing us or whatever. We'll have things happen where, these things will happen. Oh, and then I said, a message said, I saw my spirit leaving the lower, or let's show this here. This is interesting for people to see. Oh, let me get this on the screen because this is. I saw my spirit leaving the lower half of my body while I was the spirit that had already left the upper part of my body. So it's true that we are all spirits having human experiences. Yes, it is true. So that's a very good. And then Dr. Michael Newton, I read him, and absolutely, we are spirits, and he showed this. He showed this to us. So one of the people that have it, and she also said it's through the harder lessons we learn the most. Exactly. So again, Dr. Newton, who hypnotized people, right, and saw their vestiges of previous lives, of how what trials they went through on earth. He also had some really fantastic things of what they did in the spirit world, right? What kind of professions and things they did. Very fascinating. And Spiritism, given to us in the 1850s, backs all this up. This is what Spiritism is so exciting, because we are now finding everything that was said that Allan Kardec codified. He's called the codifier, right? He didn't talk directly, right? As I said before, he wrote these lists of questions and talked about spirits so they could ask these questions. And he only codified if he had the same answers from different mediums throughout Europe. Then we had people like Leon Denis, Yvonne Pierre, Chico Xavier. Spiritism keep giving us this literature. That's why I impress upon everybody, explore this. Go to my blog site, click on that picture of Allan Kardec, see the books out there, look at my books. So what my books I've been doing is I take a lot of these spiritual authors and I try to combine knowledge into one specific area, right? So like the case for reincarnation, all about how reincarnation works, how you plan for your life. All these things I try to put together. Explore your destiny. What is heaven like? What is the lower zone? I mean, how do the spirits guide the whole planet? They don't only guide us. They guide the whole planet. And this is what I love about these live streaming, because then these people ask me questions, I go off on tangents. So what was I on? I was on first and only class of spirits. So the first class of spirits is they are enjoyment of a beatitude, which is unalterable, right? And because they are no longer subject to the wants or vicissitudes of material life. But this beatitude is not the monotonous idleness of perpetual contemplation. They are actually working. They are messengers. They are ministers of God, the executors of his orders. And I will go through this. I'm actually coming out with 3 books, hopefully end of November. And it's all about more talk to us about the upper levels of heaven by the Reverend G. Val Owen, who in the early 1900s, 1910, 1920s, had all these messages from different spirits, and it complied with Spiritism. And these things that he tells us, and then he tells us, these teams of spirits coming to earth, helping people, guiding their destiny. It's all revelatory. And I assure you it would be, I'm hoping people will enjoy that. And I also talk about how people see, in my book, I have a couple books on near-death experiences. The spirit world talks to us. And then what I try to do is I take these near-death experiences and say, okay, this is what this person saw. But this is really what happened on the other side. This is why this person saw this. This is the motive of the spirit world. This is what they're trying to teach this person, because no one has a vision or a near-death experience randomly. It's all been selected ahead of time. And these first order spirits are the messengers, right? They come and they start creating, they get the word of God. They filter us down. And how many levels there are of first order spirits. I'm sure there's many. And in the books of G. Val, and they said, even these very high level spirits that come down to us, they say, we don't know how many levels are above us. In fact, it's very interesting is that these spirits say, you think when you come over here, you know God, right? You know God. Well, no. Even we have a hard time understanding God. We understand probably a little more than you do, but we still don't understand. You have to go much higher. So it just kind of shows you where we are in the scheme of things. Isn't that interesting? So a lot of these things, and Allan Kardec says these first high order are spoken of as angels, archangels, or seraphim. Now, so to reach this exalted stage takes an unknown amount of lives and time. And spirits, or angels as they may be called, have removed the blemishes with their being, imperfections such as hate, jealousy, anger, and any type of pettiness. And an assortment of lesser emotions are replaced with universal love, kindness, and fraternity for all beings. So what I want to emphasize is that we all have the capacity and the destiny, which is not up for discussion because it will happen. It may take some of us 1,000 years, 100,000 years, or probably in my case, millions of years to reach that level. We will all be there. That's the beauty of God's process. We are put on this planet of atonement to to go through this process so we can rise and be pure. And so the question is, why doesn't God just make us all perfect? Because that would violate our free will. Free will is the reason why there's inequality, chaos, unfairness, injustice. Everything wrong with the world is why? Because we have free will. Each one of us has the right to do the stupidest, most terrible thing possible. But that means that we're not robots. That means that we just go through these lives and we learn to be good by our own personality. We learn to be good because we know to be good. We know that's the better way. So when you see these things terrible happen, right, and you see these corrupt politicians, know that, God bless them. They're going to have some hard lessons ahead of them. But that's for them and us to learn. So it says, Brian, what if you are a high-level spirit put here to spread this knowledge? So, yes, that's a very good question. And there are high-level spirits spread to here to spread this knowledge. Socrates is one. Buddha. Jesus Christ was, of course, the highest spirit here. Zoroaster. There's other ones that have been. Confucius has been the high spirit here. And in fact, what I've read in the literature is that Socrates and Buddha are going to be reincarnated sometime in this century. They're coming back here. So that's a very good question is okay, what happens? How they spread this knowledge? Well, let's look at Socrates. Let's look at Buddha. They became well known by the force of their character and their personality and their goodness. Socrates was way ahead of his time. He actually said a lot of things that Jesus said, right? He said might doesn't mean right. In fact, that's why they killed him in Athens. That's why he drank the hemlock, right? Because he kept saying, no, I'm sorry. Whatever you're thinking, God doesn't care about how many sacrifices you make. He cares about what's in your head, in your heart. And so they're here. They come here to spread this knowledge. They come here. Chico Xavier was actually probably, and I know many people here in the English-speaking world don't know about him. And if I would recommend everyone to see the movie No Solar, because that is a wonderful book, wonderful movie, and of course book, I should say. But it's also called Celestial City or Astral City, and it's one of the first books by the spirit under release when he talks to Chico. But Chico was like a wonderful spirit. He wrote more than 450 books. He made all sorts of money, which he lived like this tiny little room, a little cot, and he helped people all the time, and his money all went to charities. So that high spirit is going to go through. Oh, good, yes, and it said that's a good movie. Yes, of course, it's a great movie. That high spirit will go through many trials and tribulations, not to improve their character. So a high spirit will come here, and they won't have like a devastating illness unless they're made for a certain reason, another reason other than atonement, right? It will be for a different reason. So they won't have anything to atone for. They won't have these personal tragedies. They'll have a hard time because there'll be people actively against them, just like they were with Chico, right? With Chico, like unfortunately, like a lot of religious or people think they talk to spirits. A lot of people, unfortunately, are out for money and for their own wealth, and people tried to expose Chico's getting money. In fact, in his early period of time, some of his brothers and sisters, people paid the money to get ahead of the line so they could talk to Chico. Chico was devastated by this. He left them all, went to a different city. But so these are things that happen to these high spirits. But they will become known just through their own goodness. And this is like, Socrates is still with us today, right? 2,400 years. We still know the name of Socrates. Jesus Christ, we know him, right? But Buddha, extremely, we still know Buddha. Again, was around the same time as Socrates. These people are with us because they are so exemplary. And Buddha and Socrates, I know for a fact that Socrates is one of the ministers for Jesus Christ. And that's why when you hear these people discuss religion and they say, well, this religion stole from this and that religion stole from that. No. I can see their point of view. The fact is these messengers all came from the spirit world. all telling us the same thing. That's why there's this great book, and I forgot I should bring this out one time. It's by Richard Hopper. It's like the golden rule, right? The golden rule is in almost every religion. It's crouched in a little bit different words, but it's all the same, right? Treat others as you want others treat you. It's in all of these. So the message is persistent. And this is where Spiritism is so good, because now they're telling us, and Spiritism tells us, that we are now on the stage of becoming from a planet of atonement. We are starting that stage to become a planet of regeneration. And that's what's important, right? That's why the spirit world is presenting us with Spiritism and other forms, other people talking about these things, just like and these other mediums that come out and say this is what they understand, because they're all trying to tell us it's up to us, right? We shouldn't look to organized religion and say the same prayer over and over again. We need to look upon ourselves. We need to improve ourselves. That is what is important. So I think I've held you for long enough for an hour here, and I want to thank everyone for being part of just a wonderful hour with everybody. And I want everyone just to try and come and ask me questions. Again, come here every 7 o'clock, 4 o'clock Pacific time, 7 o'clock Eastern, Sunday night. Ask me questions. We'll go through whatever path. You want to make a comment on something I mean, I will go through on that tangent. Go to my blog site, nwspiritism.com. And you can also contact me through the contact pages. I have many people emailing me, asking questions. I always love to help any way I can. Look at the books about Spiritism. Understand that you are on this earth for a reason. You are never alone. As I said before, spirits are all around us. Spirits are all around us, helping us. Now, there's a lot of spirits out there telling us dumb things. Oh, thank you, Janet. They're telling us things that aren't so bright, but that is the main thing, right? The main thing is there's a lot of spirits helping us. And if you are going through a hard time, sit and meditate, right? Sit and meditate, and think about these things, and these messages will come to you. So again, I want to say, everyone, thank you, and God bless everyone. And I'll put down our end clip, and hopefully I will see everybody next week at the same time. I would like to thank everyone for listening to our program on Kardec Radio, and to point you in the direction to find more information about the spirit world around us. You can visit my blog at www.nwspiritism.com. Again, that is www.nw as in Northwest Spiritism.com. Thank you for that. And if you are ever in the Northwest, I certainly would welcome to have you come to our meeting on Bainbridge Island near Seattle in the state of Washington. Many blessings to all of you, and please continue to explore Spiritism and the spirit world around us.